all right, the more ribald the conversation, right? The more joshing, the more locker room atmosphere to the conversation, right? The more likely you are to say something inappropriate. But the primary purpose of a TV show or a podcast or a live stream like this is not to avoid saying something inappropriate, right? The primary purpose is to provide merit, something of merit, whether that merit is humor or entertainment or information, right? Merit is the goal for this stream and for Pat McAfee's show. And merit can just be fun and entertaining. That's meritorious to give people something that makes them feel good. And so a more free conversation will come at a cost, as opposed to a more stilted conversation, right? A conversation that strictly follows journalistic protocol, there's a cost to that too, right? It will be incredibly constipated compared to a free-flowing conversation. So it's not as though you can just choose one type of conversational style, one type of approach to a live stream, one type of approach to a radio show, and that's just the best approach, and there are no downsides to it, right? There's a downside to have a free, open conversation, and there's a downside to having, a very strictly monitored, only journalistic protocol conversation, right? You can listen to NPR if you don't like Pat McAfee.
McAfee to denounce his friend should have known better by then.
I've never listened to Pat McAfee. I've never had any interest in listening to Pat McAfee, right? He seems to produce the kind of low IQ shows that don't intrigue me.
On All the Smoke, after the Kimmel smear but before the Sandy Hook nonsense, McAfee shared that he'd lost sleep over his role in the Rogers saga, saying, "Maybe I am fucking this up completely," but he also offered a novel defense.
Yeah, you want to be a powerful live streamer, right? Look to Destiny. He doesn't just share information. He doesn't just share what he's thinking and feeling, but he shares what he's thinking and feeling at the time. He's incredibly open. And so to be an effective radio host, talk radio host, or a live streamer, or a podcaster, you have to be willing to share all sorts of, vulnerable things. And that's what Pat McAfee does, right? That is the price for connecting with an audience, is that you share things that normally people would keep to themselves, right? So you can share something publicly that's very sensitive to you, and that doesn't mean that everyone should just be entitled to bring it up publicly and castigate you for it, right? It's still a sensitive thing, right? When people share sensitive things publicly, it doesn't cease to be sensitive, right? You don't then have an all-access pass to, mock or belittle someone for sharing something that they've struggled over or something they've regretted.